is known about the surface of the moon and Mars than the bottom of the Earth's oceans, and that's adding to the challenge of finding a missing passenger plane. First up this Wednesday on CNN Student News, the search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. It's entering a new phase. The jet and its 239 passengers and crew members disappeared in early March. Officials believe it crashed in the southern Indian Ocean. The primary search area is about the size of West Virginia. No trace of the jet has been found. Part of the reason we know so little about the ocean floor. Just 5% of it has been mapped, and one expert says we've only seen 1%. Why? For one thing, pressure. Engineers have trouble constructing machines that can stand the weight of the water above them, but new data can help explore the ocean floor.
All through the thundering waves of winter, the ships have pressed on across the Indian Ocean, pulsing out sonar signals. And this is what they have to show for it. The most detailed map ever of the seabed in this area. 16,000 square miles covered with crumbling underwater volcanoes, winding valleys, plunging canyons, and just maybe the solution to a mystery. The new map is not fine enough to show wreckage, but it is a wealth of information to guide underwater search vessels.
Tom, that makes a great deal of difference because they'll be able to hold a tighter path right above the ocean floor, knowing what's coming ahead of time so that they can go a little bit faster and get a lot more done in less time.
Before the search broke off earlier this year, much hope was pinned on the Bluefin underwater search robot. It came up empty. But now, with the new map, a much broader search with towed sonar arrays is beginning. Australian authorities remain convinced this arc is the right place to look, saying recent refinement to the analysis of satellite data about the plane's flight path has given greater certainty about when the aircraft turned south into the Indian Ocean. And that gives them a better sense of where it ran out of fuel, most likely south of these submerged mountains called Broken Ridge. But
you have to be very cautious about over-predicting or overconfidence in those predictions that you make, or you'll end up exactly where you thought you would, but it may not be the right place.
Don't look for people scanning the surface for debris. Those days are over. Now it is all about looking in some places nearly 4 miles beneath the waves, and once again hoping for a break. The search is scheduled to last for about a year, and if they find the plane during that time, of course it will be a huge step. But a big mystery still remains: whatever caused this plane to go down? Tom Foreman, CNN, Washington.
It appears the ISIS terrorist group is gaining ground in Syria despite U.S.-led airstrikes against it. Yesterday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the city of Kobani was about to fall to ISIS. For days, the terrorist group has been fighting to get control of Kobani. An ethnic group called the Kurds is fighting back with support from U.S.-led airstrikes. But a U.S. military official says it's challenging because many of the ISIS targets are too close to either the Kurds or the Turkish border. Turkey's president says it'll take ground troops to defeat ISIS, something President Obama has ruled out as far as the U.S. is concerned. Despite the airstrikes, what keeps ISIS going? What keeps it funded?
This is the southernmost edge of Turkey. Just across those hills is the border with Syria, and the area where extremist Islamic rebels known as ISIS are fighting to create an Islamic caliphate or Islamic State. It is also an area in villages like this where ISIS can make money to finance its wars. Small oil smuggling operations, some estimate adding up to millions of barrels in the last few months, have been uncovered. The oil comes from refineries ISIS has taken inside Iraq and Syria. Up until just last week, it was easy to smuggle into this part of Turkey. Why? Smuggled, cheap oil is a much prized commodity here, and it doesn't matter who's selling it, even if it's your enemy.
Buy gas at any station just across the border here in Turkey, and you'll see why it's so easy to overlook who is selling what. Gas here in Hatay costs roughly $7.50 a gallon.
U.S. coalition forces just in the past week have destroyed, attacked, and bombed ISIS oil facilities precisely to cut off the group's funding. But if you think just knocking out ISIS's oil will stop this radical Islamic army, You don't understand just how many ways ISIS funds itself.
We've described this as the best financed group we've ever seen.
Born among the crooks and thugs of Iraq, it is, at its root, says Levitt, a criminal enterprise.
They were always primarily financed through domestic criminal activity within the borders of Iraq.
It's massive organized crime run amok with no cops.
Want to do business in ISIS-controlled territory? You pay a tax. Want to move a truck down a highway? You pay a toll. Villagers in ISIS territory pay for just about everything. Muaz Mustafa is the executive director of the Syrian Emergency Task Force in Washington, D.C. He says ISIS literally formed in the void made by the pullout of U.S. troops and the retreating Iraqi army. That kind of self-financing mob, he says, can't be destroyed from airstrikes. You need to take back the territory and restore order. U.S.-led coalition airstrikes have now begun targeting ISIS locations, attacking the oil facilities and even grain silos. But as long as ISIS controls any ground where civilians can be taxed, extorted, and robbed, ISIS will remain self-financing.
Its state nickname is the Sagebrush State, or the Silver State, or the Battleborn State. It's the state of Nevada, and it's where you'll find the Laughlin Junior-Senior High School. The Cougars in Laughlin are first on today's roll. Next, we're traveling south to Mountain Brook, Alabama. The Spartans are watching. Welcome to Mountain Brook Junior High. And the Northeast is where you'll find Syracuse, New York. The Black Knights are online and on our roll at Henninger High School.
Time for a geographic shout-out. Which body of water is bordered by Kazakhstan? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it Caspian Sea, Black Sea, Indian Ocean, or Lake Ladoga? You've got 3 seconds. Go. Part of Kazakhstan's western border is formed by the Caspian Sea. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
The Caspian Sea is the largest lake on Earth by surface area. Kazakhstan also borders what was once the world's 4th largest lake, the Aral Sea, but that was before it started to dry up. The Aral Sea was once fed and maintained by 2 rivers. Those were diverted, so the lake, which was pretty shallow, began to evaporate and shrink quickly and dramatically. The consequences? Its salt and mineral levels rose, killing its fish. That killed its fishing industry. Ports on the Aral Sea's shoreline literally dried up. Towns once on the coast were stranded miles from shore. People left. The pictures are incredible. A lot of people think the Eiffel Tower gives them a bird's eye view of Paris. Nope, this does. It's from a camera strapped to the back of a white-tailed eagle as it flew from the top of the tower back down to Earth. Okay, it looks cool, sounds cool with the wind noise, but why? It's a project to raise awareness about white-tailed eagles. Freedom, the group that set this up, hopes this will inspire people to want to protect this European treasure. Of course, it's not as good a view as the animals have themselves. After all, they're eagle-eyed. Woo! It didn't look like the camera was a bird then. The eagle never said it was impertinent, and it didn't fly off with it, so you could see everything came to feather. I'm Carl Azus. Hope to see you Thursday.